Hello crafters, this is Flavia and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will be creating with the Spellbinders January 2024 Stitching Die of the Month. If you have been watching my videos for a while, you know that Spellbinders is one of my favorite companies and I just love their membership clubs. The January 2024 Stitching Die of the Month is an outstanding set with metal plates to cut out a large bee and two different sets of branches with flower buds. Today we will be stitching this large die-cut bee, but note that we can also create wonderful projects without the stitching part if you don't like stitching very much. These metal plates cut out gorgeous patterns on the cardstock and stitching really is optional. Here we have the pieces that I die-cut using all of the metal plates included in the bee stitched die set. I cut the large body out of yellow cardstock and the wings out of a light gray cardstock. If you plan on stitching these black die cut pieces, make sure to do so before adhering it to the large die cut bee. Since I will not be stitching on these two pieces, I will adhere them to the yellow die cut piece now, which goes to show you how beautiful it looks even without the stitching. To stitch the yellow die cut bee, I will use black DMC 6-strand floss, and to stitch the light gray die cut wings, I will use light gray DMC 6-strand floss. To do the stitching, we need a tapestry needle, and I also recommend you get a needle threader like this one that I have if you don't already have it. This is very inexpensive and such a time saver. Begin by feeding one strand of black floss through the tapestry needle and taping the two ends in the back of the die cut so you don't have to worry about it anymore. As you can see here, the metal plate not only cuts these tiny holes so we can do the stitching, but also creates marks on the cardstock that we can follow as we stitch. So our goal is to stitch over all of these engraved lines on the cardstock. Once we are done stitching the four corners, we can go ahead and tape the ends in the back again with a piece of tape. The back of this die cut will not look very neat, but that is not a problem because we will adhere this die cut bee to a note card later and nobody will ever know. Just do whatever you have to do and whatever is easier for you to make the front look nice. That's all that matters. We could have continued on stitching these two round pieces with that same piece of thread. However, today I will attempt to create a rose in the center of each yellow section. To do so, I will use two strands of black floss this time, and just like I did before, I will tape the four ends in the back using purple tape. We will treat this round section as a wagon wheel and begin by creating 3 spokes just like this. Once we do that, we can begin weaving by going under a spoke and then over a spoke, under a spoke and then over a spoke. We will keep on repeating this process until we have covered all 3 spokes. The key with creating a rose is to not pull the thread too tight because we want it to have a flowy look, and I like to use my thumb to kind of guide the thread on top as I'm stitching to better shape this rose. At the end, it will be difficult to see where the spokes are, so we can go ahead and do straight stitches just to cover it up. I have only done this a couple of times, so I am no expert at this by any means, but I did like how it turned out and I highly recommend you give it a try if you're new to this as well. We just have to be patient, take our time and trust the process. And of course, remember, under a spoke, over a spoke, under a spoke, and then over a spoke. Once I'm done stitching the 2 black roses, I will glue a small yellow flat back bead in the center, and here is a closer look. Moving on to the wings, we will need to stitch 4 different pieces. Just like I did before, I will use 1 thread only and tape the 2 ends in the back just to make it easier instead of having to hold it in place as I'm stitching. As you can see here, the metal plate created lots of impressions on the cardstock that we can use as a guide, so my goal is to stitch over all of these engraved lines on the cardstock. I'm speeding up the video just to be mindful of your time, but note that I was not stitching this fast, even though I wish. I did take my time here, making sure I kept this thread from getting tangled in the back and paying attention to all of these engraved lines on the cardstock that I needed to go over to create a really nice pattern. And now that we are done stitching, let's create the card base. Believe it or not, today's note cards are not going to be A2 size like it usually is. Today, we will be creating a large note card, not only to fit this beautiful die-cut bee, but also to show the gorgeous patterns that this embossing folder creates on the cardstock. Here I placed an A7 size note card folded inside the embossing folder before I ran it through my die cut machine. I made sure to mist both sides of this note card with water before dry embossing it to avoid cracks and tears on the paper. By placing this note card folded inside the embossing folder, I will be able to add texture to both sides at once, which I think is super fun. However, you can dry emboss just the front if you prefer. By the way, this embossing folder is the Spellbinders Flowers and Foliage 3D embossing folder by Wendy Vecchi, and it is now one of my favorites. To create an A7 size note card, we need to score a piece of cardstock that measures 10 by 7 inches in half to create a side folding note card that measures 5 by 7 inches. After I dry emboss my card base, I will adhere 2 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 white panels inside so I can have a smooth place to write a personal message later. Then I will place this note card inside a heavy dictionary to fix any warping and begin working on the sentiment. To create the sentiment for this note card, I will be using an old set by Spellbinders. This is the Faith Glimmer Sentiments Hot Foil set. This set has beautiful sentiments, but unfortunately it is not available anymore. However, if you like hot foiling your sentiments, know that Spellbinders has great sets such as this one. This is the Mini Everyday Sentiments. It is not a new release, but it is still available at Spellbinders website if you're interested. It has a lot of sentiments for many different occasions, and it also comes with 3 banner die plates to cut it out. I use this one a lot, and I will have all supplies listed in the description box down below. Even though I only need 1 sentiment, I will use all plates included in this set so I can have extra sentiments for future note cards. I also cut extra pieces out of cardstock scraps so I can stack 2 die cuts for dimension. With the hot foil sentiments ready, we can begin assembling the die-cut bee. I will be using strong liquid adhesive to adhere the wings to the large black and yellow body. Then I will add foam adhesive in the back of this entire die-cut bee and adhere it to the center of my A7 size note card on landscape orientation. I know that A2 size note cards are pretty common, so in case you are wondering, you can definitely use this die-cut bee to create an A2 size note card. It will fill the whole front panel and it will look very nice as well. However, since I love the result of the Flowers and Foliage embossing folder, I chose to make an A7 size note card, so there is a lot of this beautiful texture showing at the front of my note card. Since these die-cut branches are very delicate, I stack 2 pieces before gluing them to my note card. I will adhere 1 set of these long branches on top and another set at the bottom. I will adhere the hot foil sentiment God is Love over the bee right in the center, and then I will add 1 set of these curved branches between the bee's wings. After that, we can adhere the die-cut flower buds. To make the process easier and faster, I will use a wax pencil to pick up these small die cuts. To add some sparkle, I will go over these flower buds with my shimmer pen. Next, I will add small yellow flat pack beads between the top and bottom branches. I love adding embellishments like this to my note cards because it really makes all the difference and the whole process is very relaxing to me. To decorate the flap of my white envelopes, I will create wax seals. I will use black wax beads and the Spellbinders Timeless Blooms seal stamp. When creating your wax seals, always be careful and make sure that you are working on a heat-safe surface that is free of clutter. I have recently purchased the Wax Seal Starter Kit by Spellbinders and I have been having a lot of fun creating wax seals to decorate my note cards, envelopes, and even wrapped gifts. If you're interested, I will add a link on the top right corner for more information on the Spellbinders Wax Seal Starter Kit. If you want to highlight the stamped design on your wax seal, you can use an oil-based paint marker or you can use the wax seal as it is. It will look beautiful either way. I made 2 note cards with the Spellbinders January 2024 Stitching Die of the Month, and here is a closer look. They are both A7 size and I gotta say that I really enjoy the bigger size note cards. I have always been skeptical about the A7 size, but I honestly think that this is a great size. Usually I spend a good portion of my crafting time working on a background panel just to later cover most of it with a die-cut element or sentiment. So by creating an A7 size note card, I can still do that and at the same time have a lot of the background panel visible, which is wonderful. I hope you enjoyed this video and felt inspired. For pictures and more information, make sure to visit my blog. If you're interested, I have a list of all products used in the description box down below. And if you create something inspired by this video, make sure to tag me on Instagram. I would love to see it. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Take care and happy crafting!